Hello everyone, and welcome to Curiosity of a Turnabout Part 5, and we actually get to the trial. We've gotten a better microphone, so hopefully it should be a better experience all around. Now, April 24th, 9:55 a.m., Great Guardian's Court, Defendant's Lobby. To think the first time I visit the palace will be for such an unusual occasion. Don't get nervous now. An attorney is supposed to smile when things are desperate. It's hard to share your optimism. Sure, we've certainly collected lots of evidence, relevant or not. But even with this much preparation, most of it looks irrelevant. You'll be fine. Just remember the 3 golden rules. First, bluff with a face of stone. Second, soundly object with your cords of steel. Third, shine with radiant hope even in your most desperate moments. If you believe in your client, everything will work out. Speak of the devil. Believe in his story, huh? Hard thing to do. There's no more need to exchange words. If he's lying, he's going to be exposed soon. Oh yeah, this is the other spoiler I know. I know that the prosecutor guy can figure out whether people are lying or not. I see the special guests have arrived in time. Did Mr. Claret relay my message? Straight to the point, Yes, he did. Realized this spell of teleporting wherever would be like the perfect one to get away with murder, but I'm suspecting that the person escaped via walking through walls. The 2 witnesses you wanted, we've got him here. He wasn't pleased, but it seems like he got something interesting out of them. I see. Gotta hand it to you. I didn't think you'd found something we didn't. Just you wait. We'll use this to stall the trial for hours. Stalling is more or less the best we can hope for right now. Our friend is set on not letting it come to that. Told me he's seen attorneys trying to derail trials for hours before. Well, it's all up to the judge in that case, which might be where our sole advantage lies. The Great Guardian cared enough about this case to hold this trial. Whether it's sympathy or something else, he'll likely want each aspect of the case to be thoroughly explored. On the other hand, he's still a man that sticks to the rules he set. He won't go against his own laws. The safety and order of the town always comes first. Well, I'll leave you to calculating your chances then. Come on, Linus, what's the big deal anyway? You keep bringing up that prosecutor like he's the most ominous villain ever. For real, what's with all the he's gonna crush us? I did do that, didn't I? Wasn't on purpose. Then tell me his name already. Yeah, that's the thing. His name is kind of strange, so it's hard to remember. Well, if you don't know, I suppose I should tell you. His name is Orpheus Justice. As I remembered, as I mentioned, he's the only prosecutor we need. And that would be because of his spell, Truthful Melody. Truthful Melody? It allows him to do one simple thing. When he listens to people, he can hear the lies in their words. What? But then, that means... But then how do we even... You realize the implications. Good. Basically, if anybody speaks a lie on the stand today, he will know about it right away. In other words, all testimonies are in theory guaranteed to end up 100% true. And as you know, he's already interrogated the defendant. No way! As far as I know, he asks every person a very simple question before the arrest. Are you the culprit? Should be obvious. I'm sure to have received a reply from the defendant already. A reply that convinced him of this case. We are going up against someone who can verify people's words just like that. So unless he's in on some conspiracy, because we do have to trust him in order to figure out whether people are lying. But we don't actually know. Perhaps Nils refused to answer for some reason. It's bound to be a hopeless fight unless we can defeat the truth. It's cheating! This is outrageous! Prosecutors are supposed to be wrong! Well, there's a reason trials have been considered pointless. When the truth is apparent, all you really need to do is hand down the verdict. I know, maybe he's lying. The prosecutor is the villain. What then? He's one of the Great Guardian's most trusted citizens. There have of course been many tests to verify his spell ability. Good luck debunking him. Better hope we don't have to. So the trial began, with us all but ready to acknowledge that this was after all a hopeless battle. But I intended to play my role in this game to the best of my ability regardless. Against the man who can perceive all lies, how would I fare? I wanted to find out. So did our boy Nils Gickham plead the fifth? Can you plead the fifth in this game? Wait, he's 104? Do people age slower or something? Feels pain and exhaustion depending on the severity of the lie. Can lead to loss of consciousness or worse. Okay. So I guess that could be a way to take him out, but that's not going to be useful here. April 24th, 10 a.m., Great Guardian's Court, Great Judgment Hall. The court is now in session for a trial of Nils Gickham. Are defense and prosecution prepared? 387. Ah, so he's the one that casts a barrier around the town. Oh, okay. So he can't ever change the barrier. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. Ray seemed to think the prosecution would show up late to be fashionable. Doesn't seem to be the case. How did this go again? The defense is ready as well, Great Guardian. Your honor is sufficient in these halls, Mr. Sky. I am sorry for any inconvenience this matter may be to you. It's not a problem. I feel honored you entrusted this to me. I see. Before the commencing of the trial, what is the state of your experiments? There's been a major breakthrough, but I'll need more time to test things. Very well. Good luck, then. Now it is time for a return to a matter at hand. Do not worry. I promise the defense's time will not be occupied for too long. Though they seemed adamant enough to investigate unrelated trivialities. I've broken too many promises to trust them. Regarding my investigation, I intend to give my best effort in this defense. Although the power is lacking, his will is commendable. Frankly, I do not see the point of this trial, Your Honor. I have been presiding over many trials back before your appearance as a prosecutor, Mr. Justice. The judicial system may be bothersome to you in appearance at the moment, however. Times and times again, they have been a reminder to me that our ancestors were truly wise people. For there is clearly no better instrument for determining truth. The truth has been all but found in this case. However, if it is your wish to be thorough, I will be happy to recount the details, Your Honor. Assured of his victory, it kind of makes me want to actually accomplish something today. Thank you, Mr. Justice. Will an opening statement be next, then? Naturally. As we all know, Titus Ronus was brutally killed 2 nights ago. Truly a tragic loss for the Guardian Force. Yesterday, I have posed his apprentice, Nils Gickham, a simple question. Are you the killer? Now this is the moment of truth, I suppose. So did he just say yes? Or did he say no and it turned out to be a lie? Here it comes. He dodged around for a while, but in the end he denied the accusation. Yet, as I had the displeasure of experiencing, he was lying. Displeasure? Right, if I remember correctly, his spell's limit was rather painful. Whenever he hears a lie with it, he experiences pain and mental stress equal to the lie's severity. I don't know how painful it is, but I've heard it's caused him to fall into a coma before. Is he really able to just get away with this? This is essentially all up to the Great Guardian. Trials haven't happened in a while. Not sure if you can even call this one in a strictest sense. It's more like an investigation report with a main suspect. And we'll have to argue until he's satisfied. But that also means it might be harder to get the defendant off the hook. True, we'll see. My expectations for you were no less, Mr. Justice. Your ability has been too accurate for there to be questions in my mind about it. However, for this boy to be a murderer of his father-like mentor, I am without understanding for why he would be such a thing. At the very least, it is my wish for this point to be cleared up today. We're already set on everything but the motive? Lovely. Though he does not seem to trust him enough to skip this trial entirely, as usual. My bet is still that this is related to his failure to produce a culprit 3 months ago. Rest assured, Your Honor. The matter should clear itself up today in a timely fashion. I will not tolerate any lies on this stand. Moving on, the prosecution would like to summon its first witness, the detective who is in charge of the investigation. He should be able to explain the case better than me. Very well. Detective, it is time for a testimony on the witness stand. Been a while, hasn't it? I expected more dust on this stand. Good job keeping the place clean. Name and occupation, Detective. Alright, alright. No time for small talk, I gotcha. Adrian Descry, Homicide Detective. You know it. Thank you. You've thoroughly investigated the crime scene, I take it? Well, as thorough as was needed. An investigation out there must have been rather dangerous. Don't worry, we managed. Took all the precautions. We didn't have that much time to check everything, but we got most of it done. Shame we couldn't take some of the evidence with us, but rules are rules. I'm glad for your understanding. An introduction of foreign objects to my safe haven is simply too much of a risk. Do you, Mr. Descry, feel able to give an accurate summary of the crime, then? Should be possible. In that case, go right ahead. Simple overview for a simple case. The evidence speaks for itself, really. Is this like a practice run or something? The victim and defendant left the town as a group. This is evident from the gate records. They headed for the West Ruins and explored them. We have a witness to back this up. Then the defendant launched a deadly attack against Mr. Ronas. Poor fool never saw it coming. Afterwards, he tried his best to hide the evidence, but it was no use. As you can see, it does not get more simple than this. The prosecution would like to submit the official autopsy report. There's really nothing surprising in it. As we had, though, the victim died as a result of the decapitation. It is accepted. Alright, let's see what's in here. April 22nd, between 11:30 p.m. and 11:55 p.m. Decapitation. Cut to the victim's neck was delivered quickly by a sharp object. Death occurred within 8 seconds. Okay. Let's see. April 22nd. They left at 11:10. Between 11:30 and 11:55. Is there anything that contradicts this? This is all other stuff. Victim's blood. Let's hope it doesn't get updated later. Why? Mr. Sky, is there sufficient knowledge in your mind about how to perform a cross-examination? Hardly needed, but I suppose rights are rights. Sure, I'll manage. Okay, this is the vital part. Just press everything and present all your evidence and the most probable statements. Then again, it's the detective's testimony. Maybe pressing will suffice? Don't think so. We already got more than enough info. If we want more, we need to get to those witnesses. The problem is that the case is already extremely clear. I get the feeling if we don't find some kind of issue right away, we won't ever make it to the witnesses. No way! That'd be lame. Please, no bad end. Well, better start going over everything we know. Can I find a problem in the most basic facts of the case? We'll see. This is where things get serious for you, Alright, shoot me any questions you have. Cross-examination. The evidence speaks for itself, really. The victim and defendant left the town as a group. This is evident from the gate records. Sure. They left the town as a group at April 22nd, 1110. They headed for the West Ruins and explored them. We have a witness to back this up. But it was the West Ruins, it wasn't to the east. Oh, I can't... What? The frickin' image is broken. Haunter's right. Yeah, how would he have even gotten the weapon? What was the sus thing that we learned? Like somebody was exploring someplace with slicers? God, I don't remember enough of this stuff. Mysterious Outcast, Talia. Okay, so this whole report about the mysterious outcast, this is about the... We visited his hideout. That was the place with the cart and the broken glass. So presumably, this was all like stinger poison and stuff. Say anyway. That would be Karen Cat saw them leave together. Okay. Then the defendant launched a deadly attack against Mr. Ronas. Poor fool never saw it coming. I want to press him on that. How do you know? that it was the defendant. And how could he have even done it anyway? And where'd he get the weapon?
Hold it!
Oh, right. He never saw it coming. He can see the future. That was like the whole... That was one of the weird things about this case. He never saw it coming. The defendant was his trusted apprentice. To leave town together with him, he must have had quite a bit of faith in him. Seems like he usually preferred to work alone. For someone who you've taught so much to suddenly attack him, how could anybody ever expect that? The strike to the neck was swift. If it was a surprise attack, the victim's head would have been cut off before he realized what was happening. True, I suppose. What about the weapon? Where did the defendant even get it from? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And plus, yes, he would have seen it coming because he can see the future for the next 10 seconds. We're not so sure on that. It's likely it was laying around somewhere outside and he simply picked it up. Right, I mean, that's fair because it was near that hideout and the outcast guy had that weapon. Little convenient, wouldn't you say? Probably. But it's possible. Maybe someone prepared it in advance and placed it somewhere. You're entering the realm of speculation. What ultimately matters is that the weapon turned up from somewhere. While we cannot prove where it came from, or whether the defendant could have known, we have a witness who saw the defendant with the weapon, making the other points redundant. Is there a move I'm just not seeing here? He's more experienced after all. Well, damn, I won't get anywhere with two speculative ideas for now. Afterwards, he tried his best to hide the evidence, but it was no use. I want to present this guy's profile. He can see the future.
Objection!
You have an objection? Why, it's been more than 20 years since I last saw one. Seems almost too easy. Won't deny it feels pretty exciting. Yay, objection get! I do hope you plan on actually raising it. Then I will go ahead and do that. Mr. Descry, I'm sorry, but what you just said is impossible. Don't get carried away. You claim the victim never saw it coming. However, this is directly contradicted by who the victim is. Curious claim. Can you explain what you mean? I hope you do not mean to say that a man like him would not ever make a false judgment. To err is human. Even a skilled investigator like Mr. Ronus can be caught off guard. That's not what I'm saying. However, in this particular case, saying the victim never saw it coming isn't good enough. And the reason is his spell, familiar history. His spell, you say? Familiar history. Oh, that's right. Linus, before you go on, that's very clearly a problem. Familiar history let Mr. Ronus see 10 seconds into the future. Someone like that could not be taken by surprise. He'd have 10 seconds to see what's going on. At the very least, there'd have been more of a fight, no? Yeah, you need to stop right there. Sorry, but you got your facts wrong. It's admittedly my fault, sorry. Well, I didn't know at the time either. What do you mean? Oh, is it more complicated than that? Like his spell has some other limitations that we don't know about? Ah, yes, you seem to be under a misconception. Mr. Ronus was quite the crafty individual, if maybe a bit too paranoid. As it turned out, he liked to give the public the wrong idea about the nature of his spell. The nature of his spell? I hope you're not giving the wrong idea. In other words, we have been misinformed? Well, in a way. I didn't know until I got filled in yesterday, either. But even the defendant seemed to be under the impression this is his spell. He must have demonstrated his ability to look into the future at least once to him. If by demonstrated you mean he predicted what was going to happen in the next 10 seconds. And this is indeed something Mr. Ronus was able to do with his spell. Well, you technically have it backwards. Backwards? So it wasn't he could look into the future, but what? Oh, can he travel back in time somehow? I guess that would make sense. If he never saw it coming, he couldn't travel back in time because he got killed. Please recall that the name of his spell was Familiar History. This does not imply a relation to the future than it does to the past. Being able to see the past wouldn't work. Everyone can do that. He couldn't just see it. Mr. Ronus had the ability to travel into the past. What? Sounds pretty #broken. I'm guessing the limit is more or less the same then. Quite correct. He was able to travel into the past. Up to 10 seconds. To be perfectly clear, he could not use his spell multiple times to go back further. But he was actually capable of repeating the same 10 seconds until he got the desired result. The victim's memories, of course, were preserved and sent into his past self by the spell's effect. So he and only he remembered the future. Sounds quite useful. I guess that explains how he made the predictions and fooled everyone, too. Precisely. He merely traveled back and told them what was going to happen. However, you'll have to agree that this is quite different from seeing the future. He did not have knowledge of events before they happened. In other words, he could definitely have been taken by surprise. Yeah, and he hid that, I guess, to make it seem like he couldn't. I apologize, but your contradiction does not exist. Well, there goes that. Apology accepted, I guess. Sorry again. Should have notified you after I learned about it. Does that clear up all the problems with the basic facts, then? Well, guess so. Hey, you can't do that! But they cleared up the contradiction. Cleared up? You gotta examine the new information and see if it might cause another problem. That's how you slowly take a case apart, even if you're completely wrong initially. It's pretty easy. You say that, but the victim actually had the ability to travel back in time. This does make it possible he was taken by surprise by an attack, but does it create a new issue? Wait, that's actually a huge problem then, isn't it? Not so fast. If the victim's ability was to rewind time, things should not have played out as they did. In fact, there's something that reveals the victim still had an opportunity to avoid his death. Oh, yeah, the coroner's report said he died in 8 seconds. If he was still alive, he could have used a spell. Really now, this is intriguing. Please show us then. What shows the possibility that the victim's spell could have been used to save him? The coroner's report that you just gave us. Or the autopsy report. Death occurred within 8 seconds, but that's plenty of time to use his spell.
Take that!
The autopsy states that the victim was dead within 8 seconds. So if we're strict, he wasn't dead instantly. Where are you going with pointing out this technicality? Well, look. Mr. Ronus was on a dangerous trip. He would have been on some alert. If he suddenly felt pain, then within 8 seconds, he should have figured he'd been attacked and used the spell reflexively.
Objection!
Seriously, you expect him to be able to react? The possibility exists, which leads to another problem in the defendant's logic. Think it through. He assumed the victim was able to see 10 seconds into the future. Nobody would even think of launching a surprise attack if they assumed this to be true.
Objection!
There's a possibility the defendant knew the true nature of the victim's spell. In either case, choice of weapons is a triviality. It does not cast doubt on the result that it killed you. It is unlikely, Mr. Justice. Your explanation is lacking in plausibility. At least, this would not have been a carefully planned. That's right. If he planned it, he would have made some kind of countermeasure against the spell. Not quite the result I wanted, but ruling out premeditated murder still works in our favor.
Objection!
Do not think you've won this skirmish, Mr. Sky. There is still a possible explanation. Something the defendant could have used in his plan. Transmundane deviation. The defendant's spell. Oh, right. Okay, hold on. What does it do? Oh, so he could mark... He could have marked Titus. And then he would have been sent back in time. What? Consider the following scenario. The defendant used his spell to negate the effect of the victim's spell. And suddenly, all problems are gone. Whether he thought the victim could look into the future or knew more. With that spell on the victim, he could have assured the victim did not use his own effectively. He used transmundane deviation to make sure the victim couldn't... I see. Crafty idea. And troublesome for us. This might be where I'll have to concede for now. Keep pushing! Easy for you to say that. Let's not give up before I've thought this through. If the defendant used a spell on the victim, then what exactly would happen? After all, it doesn't directly cancel a spell's effect, just, No, there's still an issue here. For how much longer do you intend to argue back there? Very well. Tell us then, what is still a point for concern? Well, there's the fact that... So yeah, if the defendant thought that Titus could see the future, yeah, it's fine if the defendant goes back in time, the murder would still work. But if he thought the spell was seeing the future, then he wouldn't be able to, he wouldn't think he'd be able to sneak up, because then the victim would have realized if the spell was on him, because he wouldn't have been able to see the future. Wouldn't the victim have realized the defendant was using a spell on him? You're mistaken. Suppose if his spell truly was seeing into the future, then yes, he would notice. However, his current spell is not passive. He would not notice unless he used it. The defendant's spell is completely unnoticeable by the normal senses. There is no problem here. I'll give that one to you, but there is actually an issue here. For how much longer do you intend to argue back? Very well. Okay, yeah, that's not the problem I was trying to point out. I was trying to point out, like, Nils wouldn't plan that if he thought, but I guess we don't know if he thought. The defendant would go back in time, but that doesn't really matter. I don't see why it would. But I guess we'll try it because that seems to make more sense. It comes down to a simple question. How would the defendant's spell interact with the victim's? Assuming it was put on the victim's body, and the time travel that was supposed to be applied to the user would be applied to the defendant instead. Basically, this would mean the victim could still activate his ability, except the one who would keep his memories would be the defendant. Oh, right. Oh, so that would mean it would end up in an endless loop. True, I suppose. Wouldn't that mean... First of all, it means the problem wouldn't be gone. The victim could still activate its spell. It might just lead to a serious time loop. If the victim does not even keep his memories and the defendant was transported back, well, he'd have to keep trying to kill the victim until he didn't activate the time travel. But so what? Granted, it's a worthwhile thought process, however, even if that happened, the fact that we are here means the time loop was resolved. In other words, your potential time loop does not change the result. Fine, it doesn't. But it brings up issues in the defendant's supposed plan. I'm not sure the following of your thoughts is still possible, Mr. Scott. Regardless, it's apparent listening to a defendant's story will be required. It is likely a bringer of clarity to a confusion, whether killing Mr. Ronus in this manner was possible. Clear it up, wouldn't count on it, honestly. You're absolutely correct, Your Honor. Arguing about these points any further is not going to lead anywhere. The prosecution calls the defendant Nils Gickham to the stand. Oh, okay, so we're not... So I guess we're done with... I guess that was the thing we needed to find in Despere's testimony. There is no need for nervosity, young child. Name and occupation, please. Nils Gickham. I was Master Rona's apprentice. This is where the real battle begins. Thank you. The next step is very simple. Testify about what happened on the night of the crime. There must be someone with a spell that allows people to live longer. It goes without saying that lies will not be appreciated in this courtroom. Hey, no need to be rude to him. This is for his own good. Lying is the most vile, harmful thing you can do to yourself. The truth is the only place where you'll find peace. Peace? With this kind of truth, you expect me to find peace? I didn't.
Objection!
I can already feel it. You're about to tell a lie. If you don't give us the truth, you'll be facing the worst possible punishment. Nils, remember what I told you. Trust us. Didn't you see how Linus tried his best to defend you? We believe in you, Nils. Well, I'm sorry. You're trying so hard, I don't want to disappoint you. Master Ronus, I'm sorry. I never intended something like murder that night. We got to the ruins and explored them, while I heard a scream from where my mentor went. But when I got there, he acted like nothing had happened. It was a little scary. Like, did he go back in time without realizing it? No. Hold on. I went back to where I was supposed to wait, but I was still feeling uneasy. Then, I suddenly heard a loud bang. I rushed there again and saw the blade shining on the dark ground. And there was a light coming from an open door. Master Ronus was standing over a corpse with a gun. He came rushing at me, so I held out the blade to protect myself and killed him. That's what you wanted to hear, isn't it? Oh, so he's claiming self-defense now? Where previously he was claiming... I believe the defense will finally be more reasonable now. It's pretty much what I knew all along. There's no way this prosecutor would arrest the wrong person after all. There really doesn't seem to be anything I can do anymore. Why so thoughtful, Linus? Still not Linus. Anyway, it was interesting. Why so doubtful? It was interesting for what it was, but this is it. Really? You're getting discouraged by a little confession. Lawyers have come back from worse. You're kidding me, right? Well, it was... He seems to be claiming it was self-defense. And self-defense is a valid defense. It is all truth. What is a confession but just another testimony? I believe this should be sufficient for a guilty verdict. That is without question. However, was this really just an act of self-defense? I am left in wonder. Ah, the motive. Your wisdom has truly given you a great instinct here. Because it appears the defendant is still lying about that part. Really? Are you never satisfied? Nothing but the truth is satisfactory. When he said he had no intention of murder that night, I felt it all too well. He is still lying. How about it, Mr. Sky? Perform the cross-examination. Test this confession yourself. Well, looks like everyone wants me to keep going. Fine. Pretty much lost the case, and finding any lie in here should only make things even worse. On the other hand, I'm starting to feel there is some merit to get to the whole truth of the issue. This might be the time for another experiment. It's obviously against the law to use my spell to affect the evidence, but using elementary combination to clear up statements in the testimony should be fair. I'll try combining statements that are next to each other. Wait, he can combine non-physical objects? I have a theory of this down. It's possible to combine abstract things like these. It's not limited there. course, I can still only combine two statements at a time. In theory, this method could reveal some meaning the defendant implied but did not explicitly state. But it's probably impossible to press the results. After all, it's not like he actually said them. Pointing out a contradiction on them should be possible, though, since the result is always true to the meaning. Alright, good plan. I'll make the most of the time I have left in this court. The defense is ready to perform the cross-examination, Your Honor. Very well. May a deeper truth be discovered by you. I never intended something like murder that night. What do you mean by that? What I mean, Master Ronus he's my father. I'd never suspect him or think of anything like that. Suspect him? What do you mean? Nothing, it was just an example. He was the only one I'd trust. These are not the words of a murderer. I do not question your wisdom, Your Honor. However, he is still lying. I can feel it. It's hard to say if it's about the motive. Self-defense is entirely possible. We will know for sure after the defense has discovered these lies. Leaving it to me to actually figure it out, huh? Doesn't make sense. Well, I don't think I have any evidence that directly suggests he had a motive beforehand. Good for us. We got to the ruins and explored them, and I heard a scream from where my mentor went. This person here? When I got there, he acted like nothing had happened. It was a little scary. I went back to where I was supposed to wait, but was still feeling uneasy. Suddenly heard a loud bang. I rushed there again and saw the slicer blade shining on the dark ground. And there was a light coming from the open door. Master Ronus was standing over a corpse with a gun. He came rushing at me, so I held out the blade to protect myself and killed him. Confession? Piece of cake. Well, unless it's a lie, of course. Well, the prosecutor confirmed this one is mostly true, except for some tiny facts. Finding an issue in this testimony might just make it worse for a defendant, honestly. And why is that our job? Shouldn't he point out the problems? Well, sometimes you just gotta have to bite the bullet. Running right into traps is also an attorney's greatest weapon. Attorneys seem to have a lot of greatest weapons, and half of them sound like flaws. Shush, #rookie. I'll tell you what to do here. It's time to use your newly acquired powers. You probably got them for a reason. The reason being that I thought of using a spell like that right now. Trust in fate. This reading between the statements will be a trademark move. We didn't even give that idea to her. She's like reading our minds. So look at what info you can get from that and see if it contradicts what we found. Make sure you're nitpicky. Don't assume there's probably an explanation. It's certain there's an explanation for everything. That mindset won't help me find any contradictions, true. Well, I can turn it around, of course. Naturally, there's an explanation for everything. So if an explanation for something is missing here, I can point it out. Even after we got to the ruins, I never meant to kill anyone. Scream, but Master Ronus acted like he didn't notice. Okay. After Master Rona said he didn't hear the scream, went back to the post he told me to wait at. Just look at the freaking map. Wait on the ground, Master. Let's look up. God, this is confusing. I don't get it. I feel dumb. Oh. Seems like the main new thing he's saying is that he didn't intend to kill anyone even after he got to the ruins, but I'm not sure how we could. Yes, it happened so fast. Why do you think he did that? To attack me? I'm not sure. But why would he do that? Because I saw him with the gun over the corpse, and I guess it's understandable to misinterpret the situation. And what exactly happened then? Well, I was scared, so I held up the blade to keep him away. And he just charged right into it? I don't know. It happened so fast. Maybe I swung it, maybe I just held it. I think he might not have seen it and just ran into it. There was suddenly the feeling of something warm all over my body, and so I closed my eyes. It was blood. What did you do then? I don't know, I just stood there. I didn't know what to do. I noticed someone coming from behind me, so I ran into the house. You dropped the weapon inside the house? Yes, I think I did. Well, that does match up with where it was found. But if what he's implying is true, then something else wasn't quite where he found it. You moved nothing else then? No, after a while I just ran back home. Okay, I can definitely use this. I just have to find a way to show it. Confession? Piece of cake. Wait. What about the gun? Was the gun outside, or no? We saw the gun inside. If he killed Ronus, then why is the gun still inside? If Ronus had the gun, no, stop. If Ronus had the gun and he killed him, then why was the gun inside the house? I think I've spotted a contradiction. You think? Well, I'm still new to this, so I don't really know. I'm afraid I see no contradiction here. Please try to pay more attention, even if you are inexperienced. This is going great. Where do we... Here we go. While he was holding the gun. No. Okay, So that's the new thing we learned. We learned he came rushing at him with the gun.
Objection!
See what you're doing here. You're still bending some facts. You're not being straight with us. What else do you want? I confessed. Which is commendable, but you're still twisting at least one fact to protect yourself. You're implying the victim held this shotgun when he came rushing at you, yes? Well, yes. Good job, Mr. Sky. You seem to have found another lie. If he attacked you with this gun, not only is it weird he didn't just shoot at you from a distance, it also wouldn't account for where the shotgun was found. He didn't move the gun, and no witnesses tampered with the scene afterwards. We would have found it lying outside, wouldn't we? Yet we found it at the bottom of the stairs to the basement of that house. Why are you forcing me to explain this? You're supposed to help me. Yes and no. I'll say it again. If you want me to help you need to be honest with me. You need to believe. Believe in the power level of the trust between an attorney and his client. Okay, you win. I might have worded it in a misleading way. He wasn't actually holding the gun when he rushed it. He threw it away to the side. Maybe it fell down the stairs then. In other words, very much attacked, no wrong plan. Mr. Ronas was a member of the Guardian Force and trained in unarmed combat. Against a teenager, he could very well still be considered a legitimate threat. Considering everything else he said is true, it should still be considered justified self-defense. He is indeed being more truthful now. In my opinion, Mr. Ronas' actions are rather confusing in appearance. Why was he in possession of a gun? Why was throwing it away his decision? You are naturally correct here. However, we sadly can no longer ask. At any rate, it is still very possible he intended to attack the defendant, given everything.
Objection!
So you still want to pass this off as a misunderstanding? If you think you can bend the truth in this court, you should reconsider. As long as I am here, you are never going to succeed. Defendant, I sense another lie at the beginning of your testimony. What are you talking about? You are lying. You suspected the victim of something. Every single lie needs to die. Out with it. What are you keeping from us? No, I didn't listen to rumors. I never would have thought. I never would have believed that nonsense. Prosecutor looks to be in pain. Was it that strong a lie? Rumors. I think I'm starting to Stevens about. Lately, a lot of rumors have been circulating the town. Whispers of corrupt officials, taking advantage of the poor and disposing of any problems. In other words, officials abusing their position. There have been some other rumors, too. Something about vampires and traitors in high-ranking positions working for us. Mr. Ronas would never have killed anybody. I can hear the lies in your words. I suggest the defendant is distrusting his mentor due to this hearsay. No! He assumed the victim is willing to be out there to put the outcast, to possibly hit his way. You are making a lot of assumptions. Assumptions? Everything I say is based on the truth. The defendant is lying. Therefore, he did suspect the victim. Lies aren't always black and white. The defendant is still fighting this one point because he doesn't want to believe it. So what if there are some doubts deep in his heart? He is keeping them there for a reason. He should just be honest with himself. Both sides have been clear about their position. I am starting to understand the nature of this case. There were bad rumors circulating in the town, leading a defendant to be wary. A misunderstanding in such a dangerous situation is possible. Similar tragedies have been seen by me before, many tragedies. An aim for the neck with enough force to decapitate the victim, however, is a little unbelievable. There will have to be careful thinking about whether this was a justified retaliation. Even in these circumstances, it should have been possible to merely fight defensively. I didn't aim. Someone who takes such extreme actions over rumors should not be given a light sentence. Who knows when he'll do the same thing again and endanger other citizens? Please, there are enough factors to excuse his actions. But it seems like the testimony indicates that the guy had already killed somebody. So it wasn't just rumors at that point. This court's stance is more in line with the prosecution. It is not my desire, however. The prevailing of our town for over 300 years was not by being lenient with security. So I'm a risk after all. It may be harsh and sound, but too light a verdict would be unfair to the rest of the town. Rumors like these are not something capable of leading our citizens to action that endangers stability. We need to be firm against threats like these. What are they compared to them outside? However, leaving this case not fully explored is something I'd rather not. As such, I would prefer hearing the witness to see if we learn anything else. Potentially about the victim's objective, or something else that was left out by the defendant. As far as the prosecution is concerned, this case is over. However, if it is your wish to be thorough, I'll gladly comply. Barely scraping by, huh? Well, we've pretty much lost, but the trial is still continuing for a bit longer, it seems. What's with that satisfied look? Pretty sure my efforts will reduce the verdict somewhat. I think I did pretty well. You foolish fool, you can't settle for this. Anything but a not guilty is cheap stuff. It's not a win. Aim higher. Only an attorney that commits to excellence can pierce the heavens with their badge. Pretty sure that isn't happening. Anyway, we got a confession. Confirmed true. If there'll be something I can somehow use to turn this, sure, I'll try to go there. In the end, you've told us the truth, Nielsgickum. Fine then. You deserve the best defense I can manage until the very end of the trial. Please give the court your name and occupation, witness. About damn time we got this over with. You got some slow system here, repeating the same thing over and over. It seems different from yesterday. Guess you really needed that night of sleep. Apologies, but accuracy takes priority over the required cost of time and effort. Yeah, I figured you'd say something like that. Can we get this over with, then? You'll have to give us your name and occupation first. Jeez, you guys need to just check this stuff seriously. Name's Karen Cat. No comments, please. I'm a delivery man, doing the heavy lifting for you guys. I forget, does he have a strength spell? Oh, right. He's one of the two people that... Witness, you followed the victim and defendant on the night of the murder. Damn right I did. Saw it all. Your decision was a pursuit of the group of strangers outside at night? Hey, you're the Great Guardian, ain't you? I got some complaints for you.
Objection!
You are to stay focused on the case. This is a trial, not an audience. So that's how you're gonna play it, huh? Not even gonna listen to what the common folks say. Guess what people are saying is true. Witness, we are dealing with a serious crime here. Murder. Who cares? It's obvious that kid did it anyway. How about the oppression of us weak people? That's a real crime we gotta settle here. You seem to have fallen victim to these unproductive rumors as well. Your Honor, we will look more thoroughly into who is spreading these lies. No, while the rumors certainly are ill-willed and sound, it is true that there are problems. Mr. Cat, I am aware of the situation in those outer districts. I guarantee you, we are doing our best for the improvement of the situation. It is not that simple, however, as it is important for me to be fair to all of my citizens. Well, you better get something done about it quick. Can we get to the testimony, then? Yeah, the sooner the better. Can't wait to get this over with. You're the one who stalled things out. Here we go. What's the question here? I followed the kid and the dead guy outside. They took some weird path, but ended up in the ruins. Then they shifted around there for a bit. The kid stayed behind at the corner for a bit. Then there was a gunshot. followed him around the corner, and I caught the kid in the act.
Objection!
My apologies for interrupting. Witness, please stick to the truth. You're lying. You didn't actually see it, did you? You're complaining I'm making your job easier? Fine. Got a mighty bad feeling. Went around the corner and saw the kid with a weapon, covered in blood. He ran into some old house there. Followed him a little more to get a good look at his face. It was him, all right. By the way, what's your spell? Told you yesterday, didn't I? I don't know what it's got to do with this, but I can freeze water in a glass if I touch it. Is that really it? He is telling the truth, although I'm not sure what the defense is aiming at here. Oh, so that's one curiosity resolved. So assuming we trust this guy, Karen, Cat, actually has this spell, so this guy must be lying. Curious. I still feel like that has to be a lie, but if the prosecutor says it's true, damn. Is he really that unlucky, or just using some clever wording to confuse us? The testimony is an accurate match with our previously established knowledge. Naturally, Your Honor, the truth tends to be consistent with itself. Agreed, though sometimes it can still be hard to make sense of it. Will you be performing your cross-examination, Mr. Sky? Of course. Not much left to lose. Let's see what I can do with this. Go ahead. Struggle and fail against the truth, Mr. Sky. One last thing. You did ask this witness the question, right? The question? Are you seriously thinking you could do anything here? Of course I asked him. He replied that he isn't the culprit, as you should know. You trying to pin this on me? Well, I ain't got nothing to hide. I'm innocent. A completely true statement. Hope you can see how your suggested methods are not going to be effective. Chances are he's already asked that our new other witnesses as well. Our defendant is probably the only one where it turned out he lied. Now there has to be some mistake here. It's always one of the witnesses. It's never the defendant. I think it might be time to face reality right now. This is admittedly the last person I should expect to do that. This testimony has been confirmed to be the truth, after a minor correction. In other words, there shouldn't be anything significant I can even do here. But I'll still have to try. Experiments do not always go as expected either. Followed the kid and the dead guy outside. Took some weird path, they ended up in the ruins, and they shifted around there for a bit. What about the weird path? I never heard anything about this before. Stop anywhere else. But they took a weird path, apparently.
Hold it!
Weird path. Yeah, it didn't walk in a straight line. Must have just been the darkness. Did you notice anything in particular at that time? Nah, they were just walking. Seemed to be on alert, of course, but that's about it. I mean, darkness made it pretty hard to see anything. Are you even sure you followed the right people then? Hey, I saw him back at the gate where the lighting was bright. No way I'd lose him. Besides, who would I have been following instead? Cut it out. It was obviously them. Even confirmed it later. Guess that's hard to argue with. This is your problem, man. You gotta stop with the arguing sometimes. Take it they mostly looked around then. I guess. Seemed to look around the ruins. Well, I don't know. It did seem like the guy had a particular destination in mind. Didn't really look around that much for an aimless search if you catch my drift. So you think he already knew where he wanted to go? Just a feeling I got. And then there's also what happened next. Kids stayed behind at a corner for a bit, then there was a gunshot. Got a mighty bad feeling. Around the corner and saw the kid with the weapon covered in blood. He ran into some old house there. Followed him a little more to get a good look at his face. It was him, all right. Hashtag believe in yourself. Let's do all these combinations. Follow the kid and the dead guy outside from the town to the ruins. They didn't stop anywhere else. Okay. Two explored the place when I heard a gunshot. That's the first and only thing I heard. Wait, wouldn't you have heard the actual murder? Wasn't there a scream? First and only thing. I ran around the corner and saw the kid with the weapon. The kid with the weapon covered in blood. When I saw the kid, he ran into the house. We gotta go look after he followed him in the house.
Hold it!
Let me get this right. You followed a potential murderer into a building where he could have easily ambushed you? Most people would keep their distance after seeing someone like that. I ain't gonna be taken down that easily. I had to make sure. Well, all I did was take another careful look close to the door. Kid seemed confused, dropped the weapon, and looked at the body. Wasn't gonna stick around longer than I had to, though. Ran for it after that. So you went home and called the police then? As it turns out, the witness never actually alerted the authorities. 'Cause they're all in on it. Didn't know who to trust, see? Chances are they just disposed of me next to keep some secret. Huh, guess that didn't happen. Then how'd the police know you were a witness? We checked the gate records. But how did the police even know of the crime then? Ah, that is a fair point. The police did indeed receive a call from an anonymous person that night. Oh, it was the mastermind that we got a call from earlier. I forgot about that. They got them on the job, so to speak. Anonymous call. Who is this person? Is this something in your knowledge? No worries, Your Honor. We know. There's no reason to bring it up right now. The police was informed. That's all that's relevant. You should know. Yeah, why'd you follow them anyway?
Hold it!
He hardly could have been already dead at that point. You know what I mean? He's dead now. Still can't remember that fellow's weird name. This is coming from the right person. Isn't it a little weird to just follow two random people outside of all places? Boy, what do you do to say what's weird and what ain't? Alright, I'll tell ya. That guy, I knew his looks. He was working for the big shots. Going outside with a kid, well, I thought it was one of those things. Secretly disposing of trouble, if you catch my drift. You assume the defendant might have been in danger. Damn right. And what do you know? Turned out right, nah? Well, technically it turned out differently. Oh yeah? Well, I still knew something was up. Screw the technicalities. Lovely. Enough. The witness just made his reasons clear. He brought it to the rumors and assumed something dangerous might be happening. He obviously doesn't trust the authorities, so he tried to do something himself. I mean, it's still kind of risky to follow them if you thought that. Your spell doesn't sound particularly useful. The victim could have made short work of you. Don't underestimate me. I dealt with worse. Trust me. Trust is irrelevant. I know for a fact you were telling us the truth. As usual, it's hard to argue with that. Guess you really just followed those two guys on a hunch, as strange as it sounds. I wonder if he heard the actual murder. Was it the corner on the diagram? Never seen no diagram. It was a corner, alls I know. We've been over this. The defendant was asked to wait at that corner. It has to be the same. The stories match up. And what did the defendant do there? The kid? Well, I couldn't really get a good look. Had to say hidden if you get me. Well, he seemed to mostly lean against the wall there and wait until the gunshot happened. It's a little curious. I'd have to combine the statements to make sure there's nothing weird here. Okay, a gunshot. And that's when the defendant left? Yeah, pretty chaotic moment. I felt that chill, man.
Hold it!
What do you mean with a bad feeling? Hey man, when that gunshot rang out, it sent the biggest chill down my spine. I just felt it. There was some evil aura around that corner. It wasn't just me being scared by that gunshot. There was something there, got it? Sure. Putting aside evil auras and demonic presences, what happened next? Well, after I recovered, I noticed the defendant was gone. Despite the mighty bad feeling, I weren't around that corner to see what was up. There was the kid with the blade covered in blood. So what about the corpse? Nah, I can't say I saw it. It kinda was too dark to see, really. Whatever terrible wound that weapon caused definitely done the guy in. Ain't no way someone survives a bloody cut like that if you catch my drift. I mean, the kid was covered in the stuff from head to toe. He is correct. To be covered in that much blood, the blade must have gone through a major artery. You're basing this on descriptions alone, right? After all, nobody but him actually confirmed the defendant was completely covered in blood. Except the defendant himself, of course. Let's also not forget that everything this witness is currently stating is the truth. Well, unless there's some major trickery involved, I'm not getting around that. No getting out of this one. Smelled the iron in the air, too. There's totally lots of blood in the area. Alright then. But you're absolutely sure it was the defendant you saw. It was dark and his bloodied face was kind of hard to make out. Then you didn't recognize him right away. He identifies him as the defendant later in the testimony. And let's not forget, the defendant himself is backing up this story with his confession. So you were going anywhere with this? No, I'm good. Only pick fights you can win. This is all pretty established for now, at least. I want to find a weak point. It needs to be somewhere where other testimonies don't back each other up. Ran into some old house there. Some house, What kind of house? You found the one right there. There was an open door a little to the right, looking from where I was coming from. Somebody must have left the lights on. I was able to see inside. And he just ran inside? Damn right. Why do you think he did that? Beats me. There's probably nowhere else to run. What about the corpse? Didn't you see the corpse? What? Can't be it. There was another way for him to run. Another way he didn't take. We know he didn't do it, so this is rather pointless. But go ahead. If there was another way for him to go, surely you can show it to us. Simple enough. You can see the way he could have taken right here. see why you would see it anywhere else, but I didn't. There was an option. I missed it. I accidentally clicked through it without seeing what it was. Look at the diagram of the scene. It's right there. Is it now? Then show us. Really? Isn't this obvious? It is. You should have no trouble pointing it out to us. I didn't expect court to be so nitpicky. I'll just show them the way then. Peter could have just run this way.
Take that!
There's another street right there. Really, if there was any chance to get away, he might as well just have run down this route.
Objection!
So what if he could have? He had already been spotted with a bloody weapon. But why would he go for the dead end? You could have asked him that when he was on the stand. In any case, this is an oddity at best. Considering he's already been identified by the defendant, it makes sense to go for the building. It's a good place to hide and possibly escape later. He didn't know who the witness was. The best thing he could hope for was to avoid arrest right there by going for the house. Might be why he went for the house, might not be. I guess if the witness already saw his face, there wasn't much reason to escape down the street. Could there be a better place to bring this up again? If the witness did see his face just then, that should be a stronger point. I should go and see if I can figure out when exactly the witness recognized him. And if it brings up this problem again, I'll just throw the diagram at him again. Okay, so kids stay behind a corner. He didn't hear anything else. That was the other thing I was thinking might be suspect. I only got a good look at the kid's face after I followed him into the house. Okay, so we should present the map after this. Because in that case, the kid should have run away. I don't get the logic here. He ran into the house because he wanted him to not see his face? Or no, because he'd already seen his face and he wanted to hide out? I don't get the argument. But we'll go with the flow, I suppose.
Objection!
Once again, I'll have to bring this to your attention. The defendant could have used the street to get away. We've been over this. There was no point in running away. He'd already been seen.
Objection!
Except no, the witness didn't get a clear look at the defendant. Until after he ran into the house. What are you trying to say? There was no reason to go for the house and trap yourself. Therefore, the reason the witness gave for why the defendant ran to the house simply doesn't work.
Objection!
You're assuming the defendant was aware of how much the witness actually saw.
Objection!
Considering how dark it was, he should have been able to be fairly certain. At any rate, he was clearly panicking. Why didn't he just run away? If I wanted to avoid being seen, I wouldn't choose to head for the light source. Well, witness? Hey, man, what are you even asking me that? I don't know. Why did you say there was no other way to escape? Like, I just had the feeling it's obvious why you ran into the house. Because, you know, I had that feeling the other street was blocked off as well. Blocked off. Seems pretty open according to the map. Not like that, man. But, like, I felt like there was another person there, so he couldn't have run that way. Wait, does he actually have, like, a spell that can have that feeling? There's another person there. Ah. The walk through walls person. See? Look. You smashed the glass and walked through the walls. Where do we even find this glass bottle at? at that sussy person's house who was lying about his spell. It's just a vague feeling, though. I didn't actually see them. Kind of happened too fast. Well, isn't that curious? If I heard that right, the witness just confirmed there was another person at the scene. Yes! Very good! Once more! This obviously requires further examination.
Objection!
It does not. There's nothing new for you to find here. The witness had a vague feeling, so what? Anyone would mistake things for people out there. You have to be on high alert all the time. But for the sake of the argument, let's assume there was another person. Even if there was, it doesn't change anything. How could they possibly be the killer? We already know what happened in regards to this crime.
Objection!
There are still unclear points. They're all trivialities. It's true we found no explanation for the victim's behavior. However, why he did what he did has no bearing on the current case. But he freaking killed a guy. Doesn't that have something to do with self-defense? We already have a confession. We know who, how, and why. There is nothing left. Your Honor, your time is too valuable to waste any more of it on this procedure. He's right. I haven't really found any case breakers. Order, please. Mr. Justice, I am currently absolutely convinced of your case. Your demonstration that the defendant is indeed, without a doubt, the culprit is absolutely convincing, unfortunately. With that being said, there are some worrying topics that have been brought up. If continuing this trial might be a way of bringing light to what Mr. Ronus was doing, there might be a possibility of shedding some more light on other incidents as well. Your Honor, you don't seriously think this is related to... Apologies. If it is your wish to continue, then I will trust in your wisdom. Once again, we're barely scraping by somehow. Well, Mr. Justice, I'm sure you know who I'd like to summon. Yes, your witnesses. I've received the request. You will understand that I didn't have time to bother with them in detail. I will give you credit, however. It seems like they have indeed done something that night. Something that may be related to this case. So you knew that, yet chose to skip them. Again, I simply value my and the Great Guardian's time too much to bother with distractions. After all, the culprit was clear, and still is. I'm sure you'll be pleased to hear that this won't change. As a mere formality, I have of course asked both of them whether they're the culprit. Both of them said no, both of them spoke the truth. Why keep bothering? He likes to just crush my hopes, doesn't he? Anyway, we'll do this in a slightly special way to speed things up, if you don't mind. Instead of dragging them to the stand one after the other, I suggest we just have both of them take the stand at the same time. Yeah, I think he doesn't like me because I'm dragging this out so much. A fair suggestion. It is allowed by me, as their relevance is still unclear. If only one is ultimately of importance to us, our focus can consequently be shifted on them. I have to say, I'm impressed you dragged me here. Was the case too much for you? Wanted my help that badly? You could have just asked instead of sending the police after me, you know. Kind of rude. I'm doing this because this is probably the only way to get the truth out of you. There's a witness an acquaintance of yours, Mr. Sky. Yes, but I assure you I called her for a good reason. The Great Guardian himself. A plain man like me can't even express how honored he is to be in your presence. Nothing strengthens authority so much as silence. Well, and sitting on a high seat in an absurdly large hall like this, I guess. Yeah, I'm just gonna be honest here. Otherwise, Mr. Lie Detector over there will get unfriendly, right? Quite. I already regret summoning you. Which means he'll probably be even more of a jerk to me in turn. Great. Let's just get to the point. We've wasted enough time as is. You've been following the trial so far, yes? Yes, I'm glad you found the culprit so easily, Mr. Justice. I liked the part where we got called to the stand for absolutely no reason. Good. State your names and occupations, then. Actually, include your spells as well. You do realize they have no obligation to explain those. Their choice, it's just a request. A request, fun. I'm gonna go ahead and not tell you because you've been so cold. I wasn't really interested in yours anyway, yeah, because this guy's lying about his spell. I go by the name of Talia Porter. My job? Well, entertainer. I also try to save people that get trapped in cages, I guess. I won't ask. Second witness? Yes, my name is Damon Maxwell. I'm just a plain merchant running a plain store, Maxwell's Marbles. Surprisingly, I'm not quite sure whether that statement was fully the truth. Well, it shall not pique our concern. If it was a lie, it wasn't a large one. Also, regarding the defense's request, my spell lets me slowly freeze water inside of a glass or bottle, provided I touch it with my hand. Wait.
Objection!
I'm glad you went ahead and said it. Guess you didn't really pay attention. Because you fell into a trap. Well, you just said can't be true. Can't be true?
Objection!
To believe you would have the audacity to say something like that in front of me. The witness told no lies to this court. Truthful melody is flawless. Well, somebody might have a counterspell. Are you suggesting I failed to spot how this witness said something untrue? Not quite. I'll give you that much credit. However, there's a very good reason why his spell simply cannot be what he just said. And it's because of something that somebody told to us earlier. Interesting. Tell us then, who said it? Who said something that creates an issue with the spell description? Right, okay, this is the one spoiler I got. Well, I got a couple spoilers, but this was one of them. I already knew that there was going to be a conflict with repeated spells.
Take that!
The previous witness said this when I asked him about his spell. I can freeze water in a glass if I touch it. And now, you're saying your spell is the same thing? How likely is that?
Objection!
The witness is telling you the truth. So did the previous witness. No matter how unlikely it is, it must therefore be true. And there might be a serious problem with your spell. Because this proves that them having identical spells is not just unlikely, but impossible. Right, we got a spell book. And it says there have never been two humans with identical spells. So unless this is wrong...
Take that!
There's a well-known basic rule about spells. A spell is tied to a person's identity, like fingerprints or the mysterious DNA. It's ruled out. Two people cannot have identical spells. Can you say that for sure? All people are also born with a spell, right? Yet there have been exceptions. Though I guess in that case you concluded the exception wasn't human. I'm not sure what exception you're referring to, but... I maintain that these two people stated the truth. Do you have a better explanation than this being an unprecedented case of identical spells? I hope you're not trying to suggest that I'm lying. No, it probably wouldn't be wise to go there. It's more likely one of these two witnesses is deceiving us.
Objection!
How often do I need to repeat myself? There is no escape from my truthful melody. If one of these witnesses did not speak with the conviction of the truth, I would have known. Alright, so they're telling the truth. But what if the truth itself can be worded deceptively? I hope you're not trying to take this to some absurd conclusion. Truthful melody can sense if someone dodges the question, too. For example, when I asked them if they're the culprit, they knew I was referring to the case at hand. Oh, I'm not the culprit of some completely different case. That sort of thing wouldn't work. Willful misinterpretation of the implications of a question are not possible. Why? Because they know they're not being honest, and I can hear it. Okay, so I guess that's out then. What else is there? They actually answered the question correctly. In other words, what they say is actually a truthful description of their spell ability. However, that doesn't mean it's a comprehensive description.
What?
For example, I could say something like, my spell allows me to combine an apple with another apple to make a big apple. This is perfectly within my spell's capabilities, yet it leaves out what else I can do with it. Hey, you never let me try one of those big combined fruits. Trust me, you don't want that. After I undo the combination after you ate it, things might get weird. Very interesting for once. True, truthful melody can only catch lies that have actually been stated. Omissions cannot be judged, so I need to interrogate quite aggressively on occasion. In that sense, your assertion may be valid. Regardless, your claim is completely irrelevant. What? As I've noted, the witnesses are under no obligation to explain their spells. If one of them chose to give an incomplete description, it is within their rights. Correct. For more than 2 centuries, this right has been important to the people. Keeping the spell information private is everyone's right in these halls. Unless there is good reason for suspicion, it is not to be violated. Such a reason does not, of course, exist. You've got to be joking, there's plenty of good reasons. Really? Can you prove that their spells are relevant to our case? It's not that easy if I don't know what they are. I can prove that they might be relevant. Take another look at the spell book. It states right here that a spell can pretty much be anything. I repeat, literally anything. What if one of their spells does something absolutely unimaginable that screws with the whole case?
Objection!
An expected move. However, don't think you can mislead the court. While a spell can have many forms, they usually strike a balance. Even something like time travel is promptly limited at 10 seconds. Whatever spell they could have would have appropriate limitations. None of them is going to be able to alter all of reality like some godlike being. There is nothing within reasonable expectations that would have any bearing on this case. Therefore, neither of them is going to be able to remotely kill the victim and erasing all traces of it. I'm inclined to disagree. With the right level of imagination, a lot of stuff is possible. Is that so? Very well, then. Give me one reasonable example of a spell that would cast doubt on the case against the defendant. If you can just come up with one that raises the possibility of another culprit, it may qualify as the good reason you'd need. Just one? Challenge accepted. I'll just experiment around with ideas. Alright, the defense is ready to propose a few suggestions. If that's what it takes to just get these guys to reveal what their real spells are. You know at least one of them was near the scene, so it doesn't even have to be some real spell. I'm looking forward to what you're going to suggest instead. Alright, this has been a very long episode, so I think I will stop it here, and we will continue with this in the next part. Thank you all for listening.